Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Becky.
We are registered dietitians that are passionate about functional approaches to whole body health.
In this video, we are talking about 5 ways to lower your cortisol.
Cortisol is the primary stress responding hormone that our body produces in the adrenal glands. Cortisol is not just to be demonized, so not everyone needs to lower it, but people that are high stressed often overproduce cortisol, which can have some negative consequences. Cortisol in the body can serve as an anti-inflammatory, so we need enough to combat histamine, injury, or even offset chronic inflammation patterns in the body. We also need cortisol for our energy cascade. An ideal cortisol cascade is going to be a sharp L curve where you peak in the morning, rising like Cinderella with the birds chirping, and slowly cascade throughout the day. However, when cortisol levels get too elevated and the body is in a chronic survival mode, we'll see levels extending high above this ideal green zone. And when we see high cortisol, we can see some serious health consequence.
Yes, so I think one of the most common symptoms that we see, especially if we're following health influencers online right now, is weight gain, belly fat, and even seeing like a moon face, gaining weight in the facial region, holding fluid retention as well. But that belly fat, I always tell my clients, it's like your body is trying to put on a life preserver because it literally thinks that you're in danger. So you're gaining weight in that midsection area. We know that cortisol in and of itself is a glucocorticoid, so it's going to actually increase your glucose levels, causing you to gain weight. And in particular, we'll see that visceral fat, belly problematic area.
Yes, of course, we can also see risk for prediabetes or shifting into diabetes because of that blood sugar connection as well. And this can even drive disrupted sleep patterns. So if you're someone that's waking in the middle of the night, often that can be an unfavorable shift going on from too high of cortisol or a cortisol crash. And we can deal with insomnia or sleep disturbances where the body, again, doesn't feel safe enough to kind of shut down and get into that deep, restful state.
Then we'll also see oftentimes mood changes, so especially anger and irritability, just having a really short fuse all of a sudden, maybe with your children or snapping at your husband when you didn't used to do that.
We can see androgenic hormone expression. So the adrenal glands can also stimulate other male pattern hormones. So we can see increases of testosterone, increases of DHEA. This can drive androgenic acne in women, or it can drive hair loss or balding on the head, as well as hirsutism or hair growth of dark, undesirable facial hair.
We can also see chronically elevated cortisol leading to elevated blood pressure or hypertension. Even if you were someone who has no history of high blood pressure and all of a sudden your blood pressure is spiking or your doc is telling you you need to be watching it or considering medication, stress could be at the root cause of that spike.
Yes, so for all these reasons and more, we want to focus on lifestyle, food as medicine, and supplement support to lower cortisol levels, especially for those of you watching that are under high stress or know that you have a high stress threshold, because sometimes it can be like that frog in the simmering pot of water where stress is slowly amplifying. You think you're fine, but then all of a sudden you see that belly fat and realize that you've gone too far. So the first thing that I can recommend to lower your cortisol levels is to work on breath work, prayer, and meditation. Research supports that when we can get the mind and nervous system back into a parasympathetic space, which is that safety regulatory mode versus the sympathetic fight or flight survival mode, that our cortisol levels can reduce greatly. Also, we'll see better metabolism, better circadian rhythm, and some of these other symptoms being able to come back into balance. So aiming to start your day instead of rushing out with that alarm and running to make the breakfast, aiming to start your day with a couple cycles of our 4-7-8 breath that we talk about in this video is really a great way to harness your nervous system or kind of bubble wrap before that cortisol has to surge. I also would recommend practicing prayer and or meditation and gratitude to maintain a positive spiritual connection to support the offset of stress.
Next up, getting 8 hours of quality sleep. And yes, this can be a really hard one to dial in if you are in an increased season of stress or a time of being really busy, but I think it's so important. So you can check out this video here. We have some of our top tips for harnessing your sleep, but really taking the time to build a sleep routine. Make your bedroom a sleep sanctuary. Stop scrolling the phone and getting your little dopamine fix of blue light at nighttime before bed. Put that away an hour before bedtime and try to read a physical book and get yourself to bed maybe an hour earlier to try to get more sleep.
The third thing you can do is treat yourself to a massage. Research actually supports upwards of a 30% reduction in cortisol levels when getting a relaxation massage. That's because touch supports the release of oxytocin, and oxytocin is made in the brain in the pituitary, which is the gland that would otherwise stimulate the adrenals into fight or flight. But when the pituitary makes oxytocin from touch, hug, safety, release, it actually downstream or reduces the stimulus to cortisol production. If purchasing a massage is not in our budget at this time, I would recommend just slowing down and taking the time to connect with your own body. So this might mean after a hot shower, putting on a body oil and taking time to actually rub that into your skin and connect, practicing the kind of mantra or prayer of safety and releasing that stress. Taking the time maybe after a busy work day to do your facial care routine, but actually slow down and connect with your skin. This is going to be one way to really wring out that stress of your day and feel reset.
And then movement, I think, is huge too, but I think the type of movement is really important. So if you're, feeling anxious like a caged lion, you might want to go for a run or sprint it out. Resist the urge to do that. Resist the HIIT or the spin class, because that's just going to cause more of this cortisol overproduction. Instead, I'd recommend walking, trying to get between 7,500 and 10,000 steps a day to really get your body into a parasympathetic state. Yoga or light resistance training could also be equally beneficial.
And our final tip is to work with adaptogens for resilience and reduction of that stress burnout. So adaptogens are herbal compounds that actually help our body, as the term says, adapt to stress. So they aid in our resilience without over shunting or stimulating that cortisol release from the adrenals. Our favorite adaptogens are going to be maca. This can be added into a smoothie, and this supports hormone balance and potentially libido. Ashwagandha is a fantastic adaptogen that we have in our Calm and Clear supplement. And this with that shh is very calming as an adaptogen, not a stimulating one. My favorite all-in-one adaptogen product is our Adaptogen Boost. This formula contains cordyceps, Panax, ginseng, and rhodiola. These three powerhouse adaptogens are going to play a role in offsetting the highs of stress, but still give you the energy to get through your day and hopefully reduce your reliance on caffeine, which can work adversely when we're trying to manage cortisol.
Beyond adaptogens, we can look at adding other supplements to bubble wrap if we've already done all of the other things that we've mentioned in this video and we're still really struggling to get stress under control. A fan favorite for managing high levels of cortisol is Relax and Regulate, which is a powder that combines magnesium bisglycinate and inositol. This is going to help with that deep, restful sleep that we mentioned as so important, especially if you're the person whose mind is churning a million miles an hour at night and you just need that deep relaxation. It's actually going to block overproduction of cortisol in the body so that you can chill out.
Yes, another thing I would think too is the power of vitamin C. Of all of the tissues in our body, we store the most vitamin C in our adrenal glands. So eating a diet that is rich in vitamin C foods such as citrus and even zesting those citrus peels, incorporating berries, bell peppers, and all produce is going to be one way to enhance that vitamin C. But when we need a therapeutic dose dependent level, I would look to our Bio C+. This has vitamin C from whole food sourced acerola cherry paired with bioflavonoids. So there's more antihistamine properties, anti-inflammatory properties, and this vitamin C is going to aid in cortisol metabolism as well as the dopamine norepinephrine response, which is the catecholamine or stress responding brain chemicals made by the adrenal glands as well.
Yes, and it's important to note too that both vitamin C and magnesium levels actually can be burned out under chronic stress. So I think both of those supplements help you get ahead of the stress related kind of what comes later, burnout, flatness, fatigue. And then the last formula that I would recommend, and perhaps most important if we are running on that chronic sympathetic fight or flight mode, is Calm and Clear. So this is going to be a combination of adaptogens and nervines to really help regulate your neurotransmitter production. It's got L-theanine in there, and it also has phosphatidylserine, which is going to help to decrease those chronically elevated cortisol levels, as well as elevated levels of our excitatory neurotransmitters, or those catecholamines that you mentioned, of dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine.
Yes, so we've shared with you 5 lifestyle tips as well as 3 essential supplements to consider when you're dealing with chronically high stress. And hopefully now you have an understanding of if you're a candidate of someone that might be dealing with excessive cortisol. If you're interested in truly assessing your cortisol levels, I will go ahead and link the Neurohormone Complete panel that we run in our clinic and is available online. You can check that out in the links below, as well as the supplements discussed.
Go ahead and leave us a comment below if you learned something new and what you're going to try on to rein in your cortisol levels. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Naturally Nourished YouTube channel so you never miss one of our bi-weekly releases. That's it.
Yes.
That's my line.
Yeah. I can just go in it, but yeah, you don't have to ask me, I guess. So what's cortisol? Okay.